noise. And if you could submit all your written questions via the chat functionality in the GoToMeetings browser. And this webinar is being recorded. Our speaker for today is Joshua Frank. Here's a few fun facts about Mr. Frank. He is the founder and managing partner of RSN Federal. If there's anything you would like to touch on your background or your bio, you're free to speak, but I'll hand it over to you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tamil. All right, and Bo. So let's go ahead and we're you know, of mice and men, we rehearsed last week, and then some major technology glitches hit us. It happens on occasion, but apparently a good number of folks have actually made it in. So welcome. Again, my name is Josh Frank. I'm with RSM. I'm a speaker and author, business coach. Most of you probably already know who I am because I'm at SAMI SBC every year. And I've been in the government market 30 years, former Intel. I'm on the Small Business Committee, huge advocate, and I specialize in tactics and strategies, especially for small and mid-market. So, you know, most of the companies that we work with, yeah, they cap out at about 250 mil. However, what I'm going to be talking about today is applicable. It's agnostic of corporate size, company size, okay? And so in terms of looking at the challenges of selling to the government, you know, you got to climb this mountain. And we're normally, well, where we are today is in this number 2 category of, you know, I&I, information and intelligence. So let's go ahead and get started. It says 1.5. I'm probably going to try to shorten that a little bit. Again, it'll be recorded for on demand. So, and I can see it's recording right now, so we're good. It'll be basic to advanced. It is a ton of information. I'm going to assume that most of you were not at SBC. This was I think the highest attended session in November. And I would think most people that had already seen it and they have the on-demand video, they're not here. Some may be, but I think most of you are new to this webinar, to this seminar, okay? It's real important you understand there's no right or wrong way to do what we're going to do. And what I'm going to take you through, I will do it different every time, okay? But the results are always the same. So some initial observations as we get started. Again, some of you are probably new to the market. Some of you are very experienced. You know, when we did this in, what was it, Dallas in November at SBC, there were large companies. There was Jacobs, you know, AECOM. And then there were startups and small business. What we're going to go through is applicable to everyone, okay? The systems that I'm going to show you today, it's garbage in, garbage out, okay? It's whatever the contracting officers put in. And you're never going to find everything you want, okay? Oh, gee, I want to find the value of this contract that was awarded 5 years ago. Normally, you're going to be able to find it. Sometimes you won't, okay? Hey, I'm looking for, you know, the last action obligation on a specific, you know, contract. Sometimes you find it, sometimes you won't, okay? Now, also, you got to be really flexible. What I'm going to go through today, okay, we're going to be using Fpds, the Federal Procurement Data System. But by the end of Q2, by the end of March of this year, Fpds, the first blocks of Fpds, don't ask me what the blocks are, nobody knows yet, except for GSA. The initial blocks of FPDS are being migrated into SAM, just like FBO was migrated into SAM, okay? I don't know if they're going to shut FPDS down. I hope they don't. I hope FPDS stays up for a good year. But this is a great opportunity for me to explain something. Even if you know how to use FPDS, okay? When it migrates into SAM, and I'm a beta tester for GSA, I'm one of the super users, so I have access to the government's test environment. The data fields are staying the same. The fields of data don't change, just the software in the query engine that drives your search, okay? So it'll be a similar process. There'll be a little bit of a learning curve, but what I'm going to show you today is likely going to change in terms of systems in the next couple of months. Now, as I said at SBC, there is value in watching someone go step by step through this process. And I say there's many different ways. There's more than different ways. There are hundreds and hundreds of ways to go through the process. Data overload, I'm going to try to solve some of that for you today. And again, there's 100 ways of looking at the data. I'm going to show you one way, a use case of how you can do it, okay? I'm also going to be going and shifting away from slides into a half a dozen spreadsheets, a dozen websites, moving back and forth between all of these systems, taking data from one and putting that data into another. And so what I want to show you is not the right or the wrong way of collecting this information. I simply want to show you the art of the possible, because every single one of you, each of your companies, is going to probably be looking for different information. So these are some of the websites that I'll be hitting today. I'll just make a quick note that number 7, the GSA schedule sales query, GSA has taken that offline. Why? Because they've migrated to the new consolidated schedule. And as of right now, and if I'm wrong and somebody knows a way, oh, please let me know. But figuring out what companies were winning contracts on their schedule is no longer available on that website, okay? You can back into it in FPDS. But anyway, I'm not going to dwell on this site. We'll go through all of these as we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly, very quickly run through some slides. One, these are the websites that I'm using. When you get the packet, if you don't already have it, when you get the slide packet from today's webinar, there's no guessing which sites I'm using. You can go into here and just open it up. See, for me, open the following before the session. I've already done that. Now, I'm not going to go through all these, but this is how, it's the only way I can do a session like this. This is crazy intensive. And so these are my cheat sheets that I'm going to use for today. Okay? And all of these are available in the slide packet when this is complete. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to, some companies are going to be completely new to government. Others are going to be very experienced. I'm going to start at the basic level, and then we're going to move up. So we're going to use construction. We're going to start with construction, okay? And so, you know, there are just so many NAICS codes for construction. And so I'm going to go ahead and first remind everybody to mute their mics. I'm getting some background noise. And I'm going to type in construction and search. Right. And again, this isn't a government site. This is just a, you know, some nonprofit for profit, but I like the site. And you can look through here and, you know, you can see, let's see here. There's a whole bunch of different ones. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to select several. I'm going to select, let's see here. Let's do 561. Again, this is very basic, but we're going to start with this, right? Facility support services. Yep, I think that's falls within mine. I'm going to do 541330. And yep, engineering services for sure. That's a core one. And let's try 236220, commercial, institutional, building, construction. And so if you're brand new, right, there are just so many. Now, you may say to yourself, okay, which ones should I really be using, right? There's so many. And so if you want to know what your competition's using and or what NAICS codes you should have, what I'll do is I'm going to go over to usaspending.gov. Okay, now there are two primary sites that I use for contract data, right? This is for historical tracking purposes. They are usaspending.gov and Fpds. Fpds is the one that's migrating into the system for award management over the next several months. A lot of people go, well, gee, what's the difference? Well, federal Fpds has way more data than usaspending.gov pulls in, okay? But here's the big difference. And by the way, I go off on tangents when I train. And so I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole. USA Spending will track subcontractor dollars, whereas Fpds will not. So now, and it doesn't do a great job of it, but if you're trying to figure out, gee, did this company win any contracts as a subcontractor, that's where you would look, usaspending.gov, because you won't find that in Fpds. So what I'm going to do is, based on the NAICS codes, I'm going to go to profiles, I'm going to go to recipients, and I am going to simply search for AECOM. Okay, and now I'm going to hit enter. And you can see AECOM has just a ton of organizations, DUNS numbers, etc. That first one, right, the big one with $3.7 billion, I'm going to click that. I'm going to pull it up. Let's see here. And hold on one second. Let me find it. DUNS number. Okay. Everything is based on DUNS number. Even when the government migrates to the System for Award Management Managed Identifier, the SAMI code, SAMMI, the DUNS number is still going to be mapped to everything because the DUNS has been used for decades. So I know that AECOM, even if I'm a small business, I know that they do what I do, and I needed to identify their DUNS number. Everything I'm going to do today involves DUNS number. So I'm going to copy that DUNS number, and I'm going to go to SAM. I'm going to go ahead and quickly log in. And I've had several people ask, do you have to do this every time? And the answer is yes. And here's a challenge. Most of us that in our, especially smaller mid-market companies, this is another tangent I'm going on, we're using the exact same account, and everybody would log into SAM using the same account. You can't do that anymore because everyone needs their own authenticated login. So let me go ahead and log in. And give me one sec as I get my code. Let's see here. Come on, there it is. All right, 060628888. Submit. All right, and now I am in, let me get rid of this X. And what are you looking for? Well, first, let's go to home. I am going to, this is the new drop down, right, for SAM. and I'm going to go to entity information, and I'm going to type the DUNS number. And there it is, AECOM. And the reason I'm pulling it up is because I want to see their NAICS codes. Okay? And based on, there we go. That was one of the three that I was like, you know, that's my NAICS code. So 541330. And the other two are in here as well, but I'm not gonna go through those. So if you're brand new, the process to ensuring you've got the right codes, look up the codes, look up your companies in like USA Spend to figure out what their DUNS number is. Could have done that in SAM as well. I go into SAM and I look up my competition. This is very good for small to small, small to mid market, etc. Okay. All right. So now that I've got that, we are going to go straight into Fpds. And this is where we need to start figuring out who buys what I sell, how much do they buy, how often do they buy it. That's called propensity. How much, how often, etc. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and look up in the easy piece, no ad hoc or complex queries. I'm going to type AECOM's DUNS number. Okay, that's what I just found in SAM. Notice how I'm going from site to site to site. And immediately you can see you have AECOM Technology Corporation and you've got their DUNS number. Now, I'm going to go ahead and click that DUNS number because I want to make sure all I'm getting is the DUNS. Delete out the number before it and hit go. So all I'm searching for is a DUNS. Then I'm going to go to advanced search. Now this will be good for the next couple of months. When it starts migrated into SAM, it's a different search functionality with different buttons, but it's fairly user friendly. Okay. And by the way, I'm going to throw it out there. Once it launches in SAM, I'm going to do a video, an on-demand video. It's no cost; it'll be free. That shows you how to do it over there as well. Okay, so you're not like losing time. So on advanced search, I'm going to go ahead and add date signed. That's it. That's almost all I ever do. Okay, is date signed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the last 3 years, fiscal years. So I'm going to go October of 2016, the 1st, and I'm going to go to September of 19, 30, 3 years, okay? 3 years, and I'm going to hit search. Okay, if you look over here on the right, you've got up here where my mouse is moving around, you get about 13,300. Don't even look at this screen anymore because what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to download with the CSV button in the upper right. And we're going to hope the government doesn't decide its systems are in shutdown mode. So we're just going to give it a second for this to download. And there it is. Oh, man, I'm lucky. That was fast. All right, let me bring it up. Okay. Now, for most people that have never played with Fpds, this is just a bunch of gobbledygook. Okay, I mean, it's just a ton of fields. In fact, if I look at this and I look at the number of fields that we have, we've got the sum. It's like 1.5 million fields, something crazy. Okay, if I can ask everybody to mute their mics, please, presenters as well. Thank you. All right, so now we've got this. We've downloaded everything for AECOM, okay? Because I know wherever AECOM is doing their work, the odds are those are good targets for my company, whether I'm small or mid-market or large. This is everywhere that AECOM for this DUNS number won money, won contracts in the last 3 years. And so I want to use that to figure out where maybe I could be targeting. So you can't use it as is. You have to have a pivot table. And so if you simply up here between the A and the 1, click it and go to Insert in the upper navigation and click Pivot Table. And just hit OK. Don't look at all that, just hit OK. Okay? And what we're going to do now is the very first pivot table for today's session. And what I'm going to do, bring this all the way down. There we go. If you look over here on the left, or correction, on the right, you can see all the fields. I'm going to select NAICS code. Let's find NAICS and put NAICS into rows. I'm going to do NAICS description, drop it. So what I'm doing is I'm clicking, holding it, and dragging it down to rows. Because, I mean, for me, I like seeing the NAICS description with the NAICS code. And then I'm just going to add one more field, action obligation. Okay? So that's it. Just 3 fields. 3 fields. That's all you need for the first table. Now, I'm very OCD and very type A, and I can't stand looking at numbers that should be currency. So I'm going to select the column B, and I'm going to turn that into currency and get rid of 2 decimal places. Now, I need to sort. Don't try sorting up here at the top, like data, sort, whatever. Don't do that. What I want you to do is just click on a bolded number, right click, and just sort. Large to small. Now let's take a look at this for a minute, okay? There were 3 NAICS codes that, based on my research, are the ones that my company is going to focus on, okay? First of all, here's one of them right here, 561210. Let me go ahead and highlight. Other one was 541330. Oh, there it is again. Okay. And the other one was 236220. And here it is. Okay. And so just off the top of my head, if I were, well, not off the top of my head, but if I highlight these cells and I look down at the bottom, there is $5,179,000,000 under these 3 NAICS. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. That means, okay, I think my NAICS codes are correct. This is where AECOM's making a lot of its money. You know, we don't do hazardous waste treatment, so obviously the first one is out. But for the purpose of this webinar, this seminar today, we're going to focus on those 3 NAICS codes. Okay, so let me go ahead and move. All right, so we're going to keep this up. And I'm now going to go to Fpds again. Actually, I want to show you something real quick. Real quick. If you look over on the right, where the fields are, in the pivot table fields, right? There aren't that many, okay? There's nothing in there about, gee, is it a firm fixed price contract? Is it a contract vehicle like an IDIQ or a MATOC? Is it a GSA schedule buy? Was this awarded to an 8A? Was it awarded to a small or a woman-owned or a hub zone? You can't figure any of that out from what you're automatically given from Fpds, okay? In fact, there are only 25 fields. 25 fields is all you get when you use Fpds basic right here, okay? Now, I'm going to show you something that is going to be in the new SAM. It's currently available in Fpds Advanced. So if you can follow me here, and learn how to do it here, you will be able to learn it in SAM as well. For this one, I'm going to do the advanced capability, and it requires that I have an account. It's free, okay? It's a free account, and I'm going to go ahead and log in. And instead of going to the easy search where we just were, I'm going to go to my Ad-Hoc Reports. Not many people know how to use this. Folks, this is the make or break. I can't overemphasize how valuable it is to understand not only how to run this type of report, but understanding the data behind it. And when this migrates to SAM, again, the exact same data is going to be there. So I'm going to go to my saved reports, and I am going to go to, let's go to AECOM. And again, I've already saved these. And I'm going to edit. Now, there are way more than 25 fields that I have access to. Okay, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of these in just a moment. What I'm going to do, well, first of all, there's 51 fields. These are the 51 fields that I believe are the most valuable, whether it's in FPDS, it's in usaspending.gov, it's migrated into SAM. These are the 51. And if you go, well, okay, Josh, what are those 51, right? Those 51, let me find it here, hold on. Okay, this is them. Okay, I'm going to send this to SAME after the webinar so that when you are given the slides, you're also given the fields here that I've got set, okay? These fields will be the exact same in SAM in several months or whenever they launch, okay? So make sure you get this, because this is what sets up your attributes, okay? That's what sets up your attributes. And if you go, well, how do I do that? If you go into here, look at all on the left, look at all this information. And then when you find one that you want, you just click the add button that you see on the far right of your screen. Okay? All right. So I'm not going to change any of those because they're already set. I'm going to go into my filters. Okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of these two filters because I want to do it from scratch. When you go into filters, this is all you're going to see. Okay? And so I'm going to go to the bottom. Excuse me. First one I'm going to pick is DUNS number, global DUNS. And I don't know why they have these other two, select attribute values, global variable. Some of them work on some fields. 99% of the time, I just manually enter. So I clicked manual enter. Remember, folks, don't freak out if you're like, oh my God, there's just too much here. You're not going to learn everything I'm doing simply watching me today. You're going to want the video, and you're going to be starting and pausing it, and doing your own company, okay? So let's go ahead and enter the DUNS number, 153561212. I know that's AECOM. And then I'm going to hit add, okay? Now, I also only, look, they do so much. I just want the NAICS codes that my company has. So I'm going to go ahead and do another down at the bottom, and I'm going to go, I want NAICS codes. I know which 3 NAICS codes I need to have. And so I'm going to, excuse me, 541330, hit OK. Manually enter again, 561210, hit OK again, and then add the third one that our hypothetical company 236220 is using. Hit OK and hit add. You'll know you did it right if you see the filters on the left there. Okay? Once you've done that, simply go to the top and click execute. Okay? And then just do your fields again, right? Now I've got it already set up because I click this box that says prompt me with these settings the next time I run the report. That's really useful, by the way. And then I'm going to click display. And I am totally shocked at how quickly the system is running today. Okay. There are 381 pages of contract actions for AECOM in my 3 NAICS codes across the entire federal government. Okay. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and export. Don't worry about it exceeding. I'll do CSV and then turn it into Excel. Let me go ahead and export. 5.4 meg. We'll open it up. And here we go again. But now, instead of 25 fields, we've got 51. And there are some really powerful fields here. And I don't know what the number is. I'll make it up. I don't know, 70, 80% of companies don't know how to use this advanced capability. And there are consultants out there that, not to hammer and badmouth my own industry, but there are a lot out there that'll charge $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 to give you this information and package it a certain way. Do not ever pay for this, okay? All the data, once you get this video on demand after the webinar, you've got everything you need. Don't pay for it. All right. That was my soapbox for the afternoon. All right, here we go. I'm going to click between the corner again between column A and row 1 to highlight everything. And I'm going to insert a pivot table. Okay. And just hit OK. Don't worry about all those settings. Now, I take a drink of water. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do our second pivot table. The first one was very simple. Very simple, in terms of AECOM, the NAICS codes, how much. But I need a lot more information for my sales strategy. So we're going to go into the new pivot table, and we're going to do the NAICS codes. Let's bring it into rows. And I know I did the search correctly in Fpds because those are the only 3 NAICS codes that pop up. Now for giggles, I'm going to click, drag, and drop on the right side into the quadrant, so I know what 3 of these are, okay? I want the action obligation. I'm going to go ahead and sort A to Z, so it's easier to find these 51. I'm going to click and drag action obligation to values. And I'm going to go ahead, because I am OCD, of course, and make that currency and get rid of 2 decimal places. And then I'm going to go ahead and sort it. Here again, click on the bold, right click on the bold, sort large to small. You'll get this by the time I'm done. You'll remember, and that's why I'm also saying everything out loud, okay? So obviously facility support, followed by engineering, followed by construction, okay? Now, who the heck are they selling to? Let's go find the contracting agency name. And we're going to drag that below NAICS description. Now, notice every time you add something to a table, pivot table, the numbers no longer sort. Just click anywhere. See where my cursor is? Right click, sort, large to small. It's really that easy. Okay, that's what pivot tables are all about. Okay, so let's just look at, let's see here. Let's just look at 541330. Okay, and let's look at, let's see here. Let's add the contracting office ID. I'm going to drop this, click and drag, and drop it below contracting agency. These are out of sort again. Right click, sort, large to small. Okay. So we're going to look at the contracting office ID. Let's not do Navy. Let's do Army. Okay. And you see this first one here, Whiskey 58 Romeo Golf Zulu. Okay. And you're like, great, Josh, but what the heck does that mean? Right? Obviously, they're the #1 in the Army for engineering services at $64 million. But who do I call? How do I know who to talk to? Within Fpds, there is, let me go back into it real quick. You know what? I don't want to leave this. Let's go to here. Let's go to over here, fpds.gov. You see the work site here at the top? I'm going to click that link. The reason why is because there is an awesome resource. And once you download it, folks, you need to save this somewhere on your computer. And it's a list of contracting offices. And so when you open that up, this is what you get. Okay, this is what you see. And you see, I've already highlighted it yellow. I'm going to go back to, let me find it. I'm going to go ahead and copy this contracting office ID code. And I'm going to click the column. I'm going to search. And here it is. Now, let me go ahead and highlight that row. Those contracts are coming out of Redstone Arsenal in Alabama. That's really important to know. Now, let's look at that third one, right? It's about 59 million. Let's copy that one, because I want to know where those contracts are being given out. And I'm going to control find, paste, and there it is. And again, this is the actual, this is the Corps of Engineers district, Mobile district in Mobile, Alabama. And so when you look at these, you know, 2 of the 3, what is that? That is a total of 123 million, all in the state of Alabama. You may want to decide to target these locations. Okay. Now, I want to go off on a quick tangent. Some of you know this, some of you don't. And those that don't, this is going to be very eye-opening. I am going to cancel that, or not cancel. I'm going to select that first one. Okay. And this, again, this is called the Contracting Office ID. Contracting Office ID. If I were to go to SAM, okay, let's go to SAM. And I don't think I have to sign in for this, so I won't worry about it. I'm going to go to my drop down, okay? And I'm going to go to Contract Opportunities. Again, notice how I'm moving from system to system. And folks, the more you do it, the easier it is, okay? Contract Opportunities. And you know what? Let's do this one. Copy. This is that Mobile, Alabama, the Corps of Engineers Mobile District. And I'm going to hit search. Now look at the results. Look at the results. 78 results. Well, guess what? Let's see here. Where is it coming out? All right, so this is one of those times where sometimes it gets goofy on you. So actually, it's not goofy. This is an error with the current SAM environment. And I know some of you are chuckling, some of you are rolling your eyes. I hear you. I'm actually going to send this to them. Notice here the notice ID, Whiskey 9 1278. Whiskey 9 1278. Whiskey 9 1278. In other words, every single solicitation, RFP, RFQ, starts with the contracting office ID. And so if you go, okay, all right, Josh, I know that I need to be targeting, Mobile, Alabama, the core district here. You can quickly go to SAM and find every solicitation being released. And even if it's not your NAICS code or the services you provide, what is on every single one of them? Well, if I click it and I go all the way to the bottom, you know what? I'm going to call Shirley Hooker at 251-441-5519 or John Van Diver. This is the value of moving back and forth. Again, I ran this query. I found this contracting office ID code, right? Then I went to SAM. I looked it up, right? I looked up everything using that as a keyword, and then I selected one and found a contact. That's one way of doing it, okay? Now, I'm going to go back to the same table we had here, okay? And I am going to I'm going to go to my sheet 1. Actually, I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call it pivot 1 because it's a pivot table, okay? I'm now going to copy and I'm going to put it right before because I don't want to have to redo my entire pivot table. So let's go ahead and rename that as pivot 2, okay? And let me go ahead and get rid of my coloring because that will stay no matter what fields I have. Okay, so I've got my NAICS code. I've got the contract. Let's get rid of NAICS description. I've got the contracting agency. I have the action obligation. I don't want the contracting office ID. I'm just going to drag it out. I want the contracting office name. Okay. Now, you can see here, let me right click, sort large to small. Hey, there's even data in here where you don't even have to go through that process I went through. Yes, I did it on purpose to show you how you move between systems. The Army Contracting Command, 64 million. District, see, same numbers, right? Now, in addition to going to SAM and finding all open opportunities for that contracting office, I'm going to do prepared by. I'm going to find the prepared by. Here it is. I'm going to drop that under, drag, drop. Right click, sort, large to small. Okay, that didn't do it. Do it again. Sort, large to small. There we go. Look at all the emails. Look at all the emails. There is no system out there that you could pay that'll give you this many emails. There are companies that sell access to information. Hey, we'll give you the contact information. Yeah, you don't get all the phone numbers. You have to use SAM for that. But these are the folks, these are the contracting officers, the specialists that put all this information into these data systems. Okay, absolutely incredible. So let me go back in. I'm going to go ahead and pull those emails out. Okay. And by the way, let's see here. Let me find the other one. Close by, prepared by, and close by. Look at that. There's more emails. Every contracting officer that touches this contract is somewhere in the system with their email. Some emails are group emails that you won't get anywhere, but some of these are obviously personal emails. Okay. So let's go ahead and instead of the prepared by, let's do solicitation ID. How many of you have wondered, oh man, this is an IDIQ. I want to see, it's a MATOC, a multiple award task order contract, an IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity. It is a task order, right, type contract. And you go, man, I need a copy of the original solicitation because I want to partner with one of these primes on some future opportunities. Here's all the solicitation numbers. You're not going to get this in the basic search, right? And so again, just great information to have. And if you go, well, how do you actually get copies? Well, if you spend an arm and a leg with the GovWins of the world, you should be able to get a copy. So if you've got Deltek GovWin, you can get it. The rest of us, it's a little bit more difficult. But if you needed to, you could FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, and you send it to the FOIA office for the organization within the Army and go, hey, FOIA officer, I need this, the original solicitation, statement of work, etc., for this solicitation. Okay? All right. So far, we've researched and validated propensity, who buys what you sell, how much and how often, by NAICS code. We've done it by agency, right? If I were to collapse all, right? Look at FEMA, look at Air Force, CDC. So we've done it by agency, right? We did it by contracting office ID code, which this is so powerful. And even if you knew that's what it was, I want you to start thinking about how do you take that code and use it in SAM, use it in other systems, because there's so much information and intelligence that you can collect, okay? And then we talked about contact information, okay? Now, we're gonna do, how many of you, just because, and this is critical, doesn't matter what size company you are, just because the Department of the Army, just because there is $500 million, don't you want to know if those were released on SAM, or what used to be FBO, now SAM, and how many of them are contract vehicles? Because if it's all contract vehicles, you're not going to be able to get a bunch of prime contracts. You're going to have to team and subcontract. Well, we can figure that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Fpds, okay? And I'm going to go back to my table here. I'm just going to, or my search, and click edit, okay? And let's go to our filters. I'm just going to do the NAICS code for 236220 for construction. I'm going to get rid of that one and the engineering one and update. So now the NAICS code is only that. And instead of the DUNS number, I want to look up the Corps of Engineer Mobile District. And so I'm going to go to the contracting office ID. We're using it again. I'm going to manually enter and do Whiskey 91278. Click OK and click Add. Same process I did before. So what I'm going to be looking for here is just the contracts awarded by the Corps of Engineers in Mobile, Alabama for NAICS code 236220, because that allows me to laser focus my strategy. And so I'm going to go up and I'm going to execute. And I'll do the last 3 years again and click Display Report. There's 201 pages. Click Export. Click Export again. This should be pretty fast because The systems have been running like lightning. And there it is. Okay? Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the corner, insert, again, pivot table, just click OK. And I'm going to first sort A to Z. I'm going to take my action obligation and I'm going to stick it into values. And then I'm going to go to a new field. By the way, notice that all the pivot tables that I'm doing are no more than 3 to 6 fields. That's it. 3 to 6 fields is all you need to do all of these tables and get the intelligence you need. And so I'm going to go to award or IDV type. And I'm going to drop that down to rows. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this over. I am going to get OCD and currency it. That's a new word, currency it. 1, 2. And I'm going to sort the values, correction, sort large to small. Okay. Now, let's look at this very carefully. This is really important. Delivery orders, okay? Delivery orders, these are task orders issued against MACs, IDIQs, and MATOCs. Okay, multiple award contracts, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contracts, multiple award task order contracts. There's SATOCs, there's a bunch of different, but that's the baseline. Okay, let's go ahead, cut, bring this over here. Then you have definitive contracts. These are standalone contracts. Okay, these are the ones you find in SAM. These are the ones you're going to find in SAM. Those task orders, you will not find those in SAM because they are against what's called indefinite delivery contracts. And then you've got purchase orders. Purchase orders fall under simplified acquisition procedures. Okay. By the way, all the spreadsheets that I'm using in this webinar, I'm going to zip them all up. You'll have all of these as well. Okay. So, you know, you'll be able to look at these and they'll help. Simplified acquisition is $250,000 or less. Okay. You're also going to find these most likely on SAM. Okay. So let's look at this for a minute. If I were to run, let's go ahead and make this percentage. If I were to run the percentages on these and equals this one divided by this one. So what does this mean? This means, excuse me, for the Corps of Engineers in the Mobile District, in Mobile, Alabama, for the construction NAICS code, you have access over the last 3 years. You would have had access to 34% of the acquisitions that came out. The only way to access the other 66% would to be have won one of those, you know, indefinite delivery contracts. Now, if it were my company, $700 million is plenty enough money. Okay. But when I start engaging Mobile, Alabama and the Corps there, you can bet I'm going to be asking, hey, you know, 66% of the contracts for construction are on some contract vehicles. Which ones are they? And who are the primes? You can see how information and intelligence helps drive your questions and your strategy. Okay. Now, how well does let's go ahead and copy this first, because since I just said I'm going to give this to you. So for this, how well do they support the Corps of Engineers in Mobile? How well do they support small business? right? This is for the small companies on today's session and those that watch it on demand. I'm going to remove the award or IDV type, and I'm going to add contracting officers business size selection. Okay, look at that, right? Again, if I were to do my percentages, right, 57, that equals that divided by, don't make me do math, and 42. This is another good reason to target mobile, right? And again, I'm just using mobile as an example. This could be any military command or any federal agency. 42% went to small business. I mean, this is directly off the contracts they awarded. And you can't get this in the basic searching. You can only get this using advanced search with pivot tables, right? What an absolutely awesome capability. Now, let's go ahead and copy that sheet again. I'm going to copy it and create a copy, put it in front. And let's go ahead and do, you know what? I want to know, everybody keeps telling me I need to partner with other companies, right? I need a team, and they're absolutely right, regardless of your size. And so I'm going to go ahead and do the size selection, as well as, let's see here, action obligation I already have, and I'm going to do the contractor's name. Contractor name under the size selection. Yes, there we go. All right. Let me go ahead, sort large to small. Now, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Size selection, small business. You notice how there aren't a lot of companies in there, right? You're like, nah, there's got to be more companies than that. That's because 800 million is blank and 1.1 billion is blank. So I'm going to get rid of the contractor's name. But guess what? You got to have a cage code, right? All of you have cage codes, every single one of you. So other than small business, right? These are all the large companies. Here's all the small companies. So if you were to say, hey, I'm a small business or I'm a large business and I need some really quality small business, etc., I'm going to look at these NAICS codes, okay? And so let's use this one right here, okay? This, what is 0CKW5? And I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And again, they don't have the company names, so I got to figure it out. I'm going to go back to SAM. And I'm going to go to entity information. It's like company. Type it in and hit search. And look at that. Lord & Son Construction. And they were in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. And in fact, if I click their name and I look through, interesting. They say they only serve Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. That's sort of good to know. Where am I going to compete against them? And so when you look at, excuse me. So when you look at this table, yeah, they don't give, for whatever reason, the contracting officers don't add the names. They just do the cage numbers. You may have to do some lookups, but you know, it's easy. You just grab it, copy it, put it in SAM, you figure out exactly who it is, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you another item. Put it before that sheet. All right. Some of you are 8A. Some of you are just small. Some are woman-owned. Some are hub-zone. Some are Native American. Some are ANC. It runs the gamut, right? You may be a large business watching this today going, you know, I need in this NAICS code, right? What is it? 236220. that has past performance at mobile, the core district, right? That is also either woman-owned or service disabled. Think about, you are making a solid decision on strong teaming partners, all right? So it's valuable for small and large. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove the cage code. It's already out. I'm gonna do size selection, good, action obligation. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go into is the vendor, okay? Let's say, is the vendor an 8A program participant? Okay. Holy smoke. Holy smoke. That is huge. 300 of the 1.1 billion, 337, right, is 8A. Now, if I were to go into and go, you know what? I don't want the 8A. I need HubZone. Boom. Not as much, but 166 million is not bad. What about SDVUSB? 170 million, right? Now, woman-owned, I'm curious about. Let's check that one real quick. It's about the same as service disabled, right? So you can test each of these. And, you know, this is woman-owned. Let's say, you know what? We want a woman-owned company to be on our team that has past performance. Which are they? Then I'm going to go grab the cage, click, hold, drag down, right click. Again, sort large to small. This is other than small business. They're small. Up, small. Let's get rid of the no. Look at that. Look at that. These are the woman-owned small businesses, top to bottom, under this next code that have made the most money in the last 3 years at Mobile, Alabama. What awesome information, okay? All right, so to this point, at this point, your I's are crossed, and that's okay. They need to be crossed. You need to get the video afterwards and all the spreadsheets. You'll get it. It's hard the first time, but you'll get it. And so at this point, we've researched and validated the propensity by NAICS code. We've done it by agency, by contracting office, right, the ID, and contact information for those contracting officers. We've done it for companies that have won contracts. We've looked at potential teaming partners. We've talked about the acquisition strategy. Is it a standalone? Do they primarily have standalone contracts that you can find in SAM? Or are they indefinite delivery contracts that you got to win those contract vehicles first, right? And then to what extent does that location support small business? In fact, all the way down to the socioeconomic level, okay? Now, I want to close today's session with a couple of other important items. What are your competitors charging? And is your pricing competitive? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the internet and I'm going to go to the eLibrary, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and type AECOM. For those of you who don't have a GSA schedule, hey, the eLibrary lists all your competitor schedules. Oh, and all their pricing that they negotiated with the government. So we're going to stay with AECOM. We've been with it all day. And I'm going to go ahead and select the O3 FAC here, the management services. And you see right here in the middle, there's a contractor price list. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Okay. And, you know, let me go ahead and just do find. It'll probably be faster if I do drafter, oh, I got to spell it right. Drafter CAD operator, right? There's one. These are just mapping the codes. Oh, by the way, if you want to know what the requirements are and how much education, you can look all that up in their pricing list. Here we go. Let me make this bigger for you. So you can see here, You got drafter, CAD operator. We're going to use this as an example, right? But the odds are you've got the same labor categories if you have the same NAICS code. Okay, so we're using the same NAICS code. And if you look at this, we're in year 12 of AECOM's GSA schedule contract. And so we know the hourly rate is $60.01. Okay, that does now. This is really important. Really important. Nobody uses their GSA schedule rates. Let me say that again. Nobody uses their own rates because this is what's negotiated with the government. It is much more likely that AECOM and the other companies of the world are going to cut 3 to 5 points off of their hourly rate. Why? Because they know the competition's going to do that. If my company was going up against AECOM for a draft or a CAD operator level 1, I'm going to go, oh, 60. I'm going to charge 55. So I'm competitive. That will get you in trouble. You have to consider that AECOM's going to charge 55. Okay? So that's just one way of looking at pricing. Okay? If your competitor doesn't have a schedule, find some other companies similar to you that do. And if you're having trouble, I'm going to show you another awesome site. And it's called Calc. So if I were to type into Calc, CAD, okay, and hit search, yeah, we'll just leave it at CAD. Oh, by the way, instead of going through every single GSA schedule, this goes through every schedule that has been awarded by the federal government. And so if I simply click in here, CAD, right? Average price is $70, right? We just saw AECOM had $60, right? Isn't that right? Let's see here. Yeah, $60 and a cent. Education level. Well, let's say you need to hire someone and it's going to be a bachelor's degree is required. Then the price is $82 an hour across all companies that have GSA schedules. This is an awesome tool, right? You can also say, hey, they're going to be working at the customer site. And if they're working at the customer site, it's $60. Ah, that's more in line with AECOM. Let's say they're at the contractor site. 74. Now you may say, how could it possibly be more? Well, there could probably be a lot of overhead. Wrap rates or fully burdened rates may be a little too high. Okay. And let me remove this and pull this down. And look at this. It also tells you all the companies that have CAD labor categories. And it tells you how are they basing the education, how many years experience. You don't have to have a GSA schedule. And I would tell most companies, and I do, 50% of the companies that we work with, we tell them, you don't need a schedule, or you need to wait a year or two. But that doesn't mean you can't use these sites to collect intel and make sure your pricing is competitive, okay? So with that, let me bounce back into the presentation. Bring this back up and go to here. So just as an FYI, I want to bring it together before we go to Q&A, okay? First, we looked at NAICS codes, upper left. Excuse me. We looked at the statuses, socioeconomic statuses. We looked at, other than small versus small. We looked at, there were a whole bunch of contact emails. Verify, are they on SAM as delivery orders, or correction, are they on SAM as definitive contracts? Are they delivery orders? We looked at the labor cats. On the right, you see the map, AECOM, those two contracting office IDs. The one company we looked up was Lord & Son. Think about what you could do for your sales strategy if you simply brought all this information together, okay? So with that being said, We covered a ton of info. I know we did. It is the most complex webinar, training seminar I have ever given, but it is so critical. We discussed how to run pivot tables, NAICS validation, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, you're going to have to do it several times to get good at it. So before we go into Q&A, a couple of things. One, if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, go ahead and connect. Two, if you're a podcast listener, Game Changers, very popular. Three, there's a couple of books out there, okay, that if you liked how I approach the market and strategy, both of those are #1 bestsellers, okay? And then #5, you can get a free account on our platform for other tactics and strategies. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to SAME, and then we can drive Q&A. Okay, so I'm representing SAME. So there's a couple of things happening with SAME, and again, I'm on the Small Business Committee, very excited about. We have new partnerships with both FedMine.us as well as, of course, the 800-pound gorilla GovWin. And so there are discounts available, okay, for new subscribers. If you're already a member of FedMine or GovWin Deltec, and both of those are competitors, you know, and if you want to know which one's better to go with, etc., you'll have to ask around, but it's only for new subscribers, okay? So with that, Bo, can you help me with Q&A? I hope everybody can still hear me. All right, let's see if I can pull up the chat on my own. Let's see here. Hang tight, everybody. All right, we can hear you. Thank you, Tom. We can. Okay, on the emails on mine, I can't find that field. Is that something you're pulling on your event? Yes, yes. The emails are the ad hoc search. And that's for Kristen. And the ad hoc search is only available in the advanced Fpds, but it will also be available in the new SAM when it comes out. Contract numbers embedded in personal doesn't look right. Some of those emails are emails to keep you from getting to them. Some are going to work, Vivian, some will work, some will not. And none of that replaces getting out from behind your computer, going to events, you know, etc. Are we waiting to get started? Okay, so I know, do you do beta.sam trainings? Hey, Sally, good seeing you again. The answer is not yet, okay? The reason why I say not yet is because the systems are shifting so fast. They are, just as an FYI, they deployed SAM the way they're deploying FPDS. They're in blocks. I've had a lot of questions, a lot of requests to do SAM training. There are folks out there doing it now, but I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I want to wait for a little bit more functionality before I go into a deep dive. John, thoughts on FedMine and GovWin? You're just trying to get me in trouble, aren't you? The answer is they are both good systems. They operate differently. They have different user interfaces. That's what separates all of them. And I will simply leave it at that. And John, if you go back to, here, let me go back to the slide. There's my email. Please use the email. Just send me an email and go, hey, you know, what do you think? What do you recommend? Because I can't do that in a public setting. So with that, you're welcome, John. If there are any other questions, don't think I'm unapproachable. Send me an email. It contacted Artisan Federal, okay? May take a little bit to get to you, but we will get your questions answered. And on that, before I turn it over for the last time to SAME, I want to thank everyone for coming in today. I hope you learned something, and I will see you at the next SAME event. Tomel, Bo, it's all yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you again, Josh, for a wonderful and intuitive hands-on presentation. It was very informative. If you click over for the next slide for me.
Sure.
There we go. If we have any, here's our upcoming events. March 16th through the 18th, we have our DoD briefings. That will be at Bethesda in Rockville, Maryland. We have our 2020 JETC, our Centennial Conference, which is May 27th through the 29th in Washington, D.C. Registration is now open for that, so you can make your way to samejetc.org to register and to get more information on that. We also have our facility management workshop in July 29th to 31st in San Antonio, Texas, and our 2020 Small Business Conference. And we're back in Dallas, Texas, November 4th through the 6th. Now, there will be PDA certificate given out via email through registration, and also as well a PDF version of the presentation and any other forms that Josh wants to give you all. But with that being said, thank you for joining this webinar again. We look forward to having everyone back. If Bo is still on the line, if he has any other words he would like to give.
That's it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.